Hello everyone, welcome to the Hand Spinner Review Spot YouTube channel. You can head over to our Facebook page as well, the link's in the description for this video. And today we're going to have a look at one of my absolute favourite designs on the market, the Rotablade Stubby. If you head over to the page, you'll find all sorts of different posts about these different materials the Stubby comes in, as well as an original review from the first batch of the titanium releases if you go quite far back in the page and look for the earlier reviews. And here we're going to have a look at what makes the Stubby special in my mind, and a few different examples of how the Stubby is released now in its current evolutions. We're not going to look at the tri version of the Stubby today, because I think it deserves a video in its own right, to be honest. So here we'll have a look at a few different materials and why the Stubby has become, in a really young market, almost a classic design. Okay, so here's a basic Stubby, albeit with a custom set of grips, which I'll do a video on these at some point as well, because they're absolutely beautiful and the maker deserves a lot of credit for them. Actually, let's move to a different one. Let's just use this. This is an early titanium one that Paul did for me in a custom finish. These finishes aren't generally available now. He's so busy that that custom stuff really isn't practical for him. The Stubby is, as the name probably suggests, is quite a compact spinner. I have quite small hands. I believe it's 50mm across. It's got a bit of heft to the outer edges, but I don't think more than, certainly not much more than a torque bar would have with the weights taken into account. Obviously the design of the Stubby, if you can hear a cat meowing in the background, that's what it is, an annoying cat meowing in the background. The weight of the Stubby is really thrown out to the edges because the original ethos behind this design, and I think I had a pre-order on the very first Stubbies that Paul ever made, just based off of the images and the spin times that he was reporting. The weight of the Stubby is all located on the outer edges of the piece, and then the machining curves the body down in a dip, as you can hopefully see. So that it sets the buttons quite low within the body and gives you a lot of mass on the outside edges of the piece. This really maximizes rotational momentum, which a lot of you will probably know a fair amount about. And on top of that, you can see that the spin performance is incredibly smooth. The machining's really high tolerance here. You can see there's virtually no movement on that button at all. And that's really, to my mind, what you're looking for when you're looking for a perfectly balanced piece of mini spinning engineering. These are obviously kind of pointless devices from a practical point of view, I suppose, but I love them because they're just really nice pieces of artistic engineering in their own right. And I think that when you get something that balances that well, you're really dealing with something quite special. Moving on to a few of the different weights that you get based on the different materials you have here. This one, as I think I probably mentioned, is titanium. This is Mokuti, which is one of Paul's exotic releases, which we'll get to in a second. That's virtually the same weight. It's just two or three different alloys of titanium inside that one, whereas only one there. This is another exotic. This is a Damasteel. It's blue tongue Damasteel. It's particularly beautiful release from Paul. I think he's doing some tri versions in this, which are equally stunning. It's got a tumbled button on it, which I think works very well with the dark etched sections of the Damasteel. You've then got this, which is a bit of an oddity within the Stubby range. This is kind of Paul's budget option. It's referred to as the Stubby Light. It's an injection molded glow-in-the-dark ABS body. Plastic grips, I forget what plastic they are, they might be ABS as well, or they might be Delrin, and tungsten weights. Again, really nice piece. I don't think these are currently available on the website or in the drops, but I'm sure there'll be more batches in the future. From there, we step up to the heaviest ones I've got on the table now. I have had a copper one previously, and Paul has done a tungsten version as well, but that was part of the exotic range, so it was only a relatively small batch, and they sell for pretty insane money on the secondary market now. This one is again another custom piece. This is a one that was fumed, or it was given a forced patina over the copper, which I have to say I really like. and these will do a spin time up to 8 minutes, particularly vertically. Any time with a spinner that you have weight pressing down, particularly when you've got quite a lot of outward mass, weight pressing down on the bearing with something like a table spin, it will reduce spin times, in this case probably down to about 4 or 5 minutes. It's not a huge difference in weight between the stainless steel and the brass, so they're quite comparable, but you do get a little bit of extra spin time in the copper, and then obviously in the tungsten as well. So yeah, I mean, that's the Stubby. I mean, we can talk a little bit about the bearing. The bearing is an R188. It's a hybrid ceramic. For anyone who doesn't know, that means that the racers and the cage in this case are all stainless steel, but the balls themselves are ceramic. So the nice thing about ceramic bearings is they kind of wear in the stainless racers, because the ceramic balls are harder than the steel, so you get better and better and smoother performance with these as time goes on. Right, sorry about the cut there. Unfortunately my dog decided to kick up a fuss, so far we've had the cat butt in and the dog cause problems. Going well. Okay, so where were we? We've just looked at the bearing. I think that's a really key component, although obviously nowadays you see R188 bearings in lots of different spinners, particularly the 8-ball variety, but also the 10-ball, which you see in things like Zero Feud's well-regarded compass. Moving on from there, I suppose we should talk about any small detractors that you might see on the Stubby, and it's probably become clear that I'm a big fan, so for me there's not a great deal to comment on here. I suppose the main thing that you could mention is something that which we've already touched on earlier, which is for some people the wide arms for the mass and the extra spin time that the Stubby has, they can get in the way a little bit for fidgeting. Personally speaking, I think once you've spent some time with a Stubby, it really goes away. It becomes more a question of timing and getting used to the way that they feel, and they become as comfortable to fidget with as almost anything for me. But that probably won't be the case for everyone, so it's one of those situations where you have to weigh up what is likely to work for you, whether you want something maybe like a Lastrum standing Axis Micro, which you can really catch and release from any point on the body, or you want something that's a little bit more requiring of some timing, like the Stubby or other spinners with large spread of the lobes. I think some would refer to it as a positive taper, which I think is probably a very good term. The other thing which you might want to consider is that the Stubby, I won't say suffers from, because it's completely symptomatic of the style of spinner. Any bipole spinner that's heavily positively tapered will have some wobble, or I would prefer to call it bearing lash, when you orientate it side from side. That is to say, it loses some of its momentum as the bearing is biased in one direction or the other. Some people really don't like that, and for them, having a spinner which spreads the weight more evenly across, something like a tri-spinner or a quad spinner, will be a better move. I personally really like the sensation. Some spinners go a bit too far with that for me as well, but the Stubby really isn't one of them. Yeah, so overall I've got to say, as it's probably become pretty clear, I'm a very big fan of the Rotablade Stubby. I recommend them to anyone that wants a really top draw bar spinner, and depending on your budget and how long you're willing to wait, they can be had in just such an array of beautiful finishes and materials, such as the Mokuti here or the Damasteel that we've already looked at. They've also been produced in zirconium, tungsten, as we've mentioned previously. I mean, the options are really quite endless, and because Paul is really heavily invested in producing these on the long term, we will see more batches of various exotics, and there's superconductor out there as well. So yeah, they come hugely recommended by me. I am something of an unashamed fanboy of the Stubby, and I'm sure they'll feature in videos that we produce later on as well. If you're interested in them, you can join the Rotablade Facebook group. It's an excellent community over there that I do a bit of admin work for. And obviously you can go on the Rotablade website. The drops for new product and for restocking are Fridays 6 p.m. UK time. There's not always an idea of what's going to go live, and I would urge you to be as quick as you possibly can if you particularly want something on there. And yeah, it's very much fastest finger first on that. But yeah, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed the first full video from the Handspinner Review Spot YouTube channel, and I hope you join us for more. Thank you very much. Bye bye.